Have you ever felt that, that nagging voice inside? The one telling you, if only I were thinner or smarter, richer, prettier, more successful.
Oh, absolutely. It's such a common human thing, isn't it?
It really is. We kind of scrutinize ourselves constantly, comparing our lives to others, and often feeling like our worth just hangs on the next success or failure.
Yeah, and it was a real trap, this whole habit of looking outside ourselves for validation, always focusing on what feels wrong and just feeling, well, dissatisfied a lot of the time.
It is. It feels like this relentless pressure.
It really is a profound struggle, and it impacts so much of our well-being these days. We get caught in this, endless pursuit of external stuff, always thinking we need to prove our worth somehow.
Right.
But, the research pretty consistently shows that this whole effort, it often leads to this deep underlying feeling of unworthiness, not the fulfillment we're actually looking for.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting then. What if?
Yeah.
What if everything you've been searching for, it's actually been inside you the whole time? What if that inherent worth isn't something you have to earn or find, but something that just is?
Yeah, like a fundamental quality.
Exactly. So our mission in this deep dive is really to explore that, how embracing our imperfections isn't some kind of flaw, but actually an essential part of our beautiful unfolding story.
And maybe surprisingly, a direct path to genuine well-being.
Let's definitely unpack this.
Okay, so to really get this, it helps to connect it to a bigger picture. Something ancient wisdom traditions have talked about for ages. They point to these 3 fundamental truths about being alive.
Okay.
First, life is inherently difficult. Sometimes it's called dukkha. There's this unavoidable challenge.
Right. Suffering is part of it.
Yeah, exactly. Second, everything changes. It's called anicca. Nothing stays the same.
Constant flux.
And third, our experience is this ever-fluctuating flow, anartha. It basically emphasizes that nothing's fixed or permanent. Not situations, not feelings, not even ourselves.
Wow, okay. That's incredibly powerful when you think about it. So our suffering isn't necessarily because life is difficult or because things change.
Right.
But it's more about our resistance to those truths. Is that it?
Precisely. That's the core insight. When we fight these basic realities, when we cling to the idea that things should be permanent or always easy, that's exactly when we create our own suffering. True freedom, you see, isn't found in trying to avoid the hard stuff or the changes, but in fundamentally shifting our relationship to them.
Okay. Changing the relationship.
Yeah. And that's why when you learn to embrace all parts of yourself, unconditionally, the good, the bad, the messy, your inherent worth just naturally surfaces.
It just comes out.
It allows you to be truly present, for yourself and for others, knowing that success and failure, they're just transient waves passing through.
That makes so much sense. This idea of just recognizing things as they are, it feels fundamental. Which leads us nicely into, I guess, the cornerstones of mindful self-esteem. What's the first one we need?
The first one is acceptance. Now, this doesn't mean pretending everything is suddenly okay in some superficial way.
Right, not just putting on a happy face.
No, not at all. It's more about recognizing things as they actually are, moment by moment, and dialing down your resistance to them. It's about bringing this deep curiosity and choosing to turn toward the stuff you might instinctively want to push away or resist.
Okay, so instead of running from discomfort, you actually lean in a bit.
Yeah.
With curiosity.
Exactly, with a sense of open-mindedness.
All right, so once we've kind of acknowledged things as they are,
yeah,
how do we move beyond just seeing it and actually start to, heal those deeper emotional scars?
Well, that brings us right to the second cornerstone.
Mm-hmm.
Compassion.
Okay.
This is about infusing your awareness with warmth, actively working to heal those emotional scars of unworthiness that, let's face it, we all carry to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
And doing that, in turn, inspires genuine care for other people, too. It flows outward.
That makes sense. And the third?
And the final cornerstone is virtue. This is really about living with purpose, with intention, and maybe for something bigger than just yourself, the greater good.
Living intentionally.
Yeah, and recognizing, crucially, that you are not alone in your imperfections. The struggle, it's part of the shared human experience. So these 3, acceptance, compassion, and virtue, they aren't separate things. They're like inseparable triplets. Each one strengthens the others.
Inseparable triplets. I like that. It really shows how connected they are. So what does this all mean for someone just starting out on this journey of mindful self-esteem?
It really emphasizes that the journey begins by looking inside. Simple as that, but not always easy.
Right.
We need to try and get those judgmental thoughts out of the driver's seat, quiet the internal noise a bit, and find that your true self, it's actually always been there, just waiting to be rediscovered. It's about waking up and loving yourself and others with clear intention.
Okay, so looking inside, and as we start that inner journey, there's this really powerful anchor we can use, right? The most basic thing, our breath.
Absolutely fundamental.
We've all felt it when we're stressed. Our breathing gets shallow, quick, mostly up in the chest. That's that old fight, flight, or freeze response kicking in.
And that's precisely why bringing conscious awareness to your breath is just so transformative. When you consciously allow your breath to naturally deepen and slow down, maybe shifting into breathing from your belly.
Abdominal breathing.
Yeah, you literally send a signal to your brain to shift into a more peaceful state. You kind of unhook from that constant frantic doing and relax into just being. It creates the perfect conditions for staying present.
And you can actually feel this difference, can't you? There's that simple exercise people can try.
Oh yeah, with the tense and breathe one.
Right. Like you lie down, tense up your whole body, and first breathe really quickly and shallowly, just from your chest. Feel what that's like.
Feel the stress it adds.
Exactly. Then release. Take a moment and tense up again, just as much. But this time, breathe slowly and deeply, right from your belly.
The contrast is usually pretty striking. When you do the chest breathing all tense, it just amplifies that feeling of being overwhelmed, stressed out.
Totally.
But switch to the deep belly breathing even while you're still tensing. You can often feel this subtle but really profound sense of calm starting to spread.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It shows so vividly how consciously shifting your breath can instantly kickstart your relaxation response. It guides you back to a more centered, strong place no matter what's going on outside. It's like an internal reset button.
That immediate shift is incredible. And it really highlights how deeply our physical sensations are tied to our mental state. Our whole body, it's like a living teaching manual, isn't it?
Absolutely. It records everything our mental and emotional states show up as aches, tension, sometimes numbness.
Think about it. A restless mind might literally make you unable to sit still. A heavy feeling in your chest could indicate sadness. That throbbing head might be anxiety knocking.
Exactly. And the powerful part is, by bringing a gentle awareness to these physical sensations, you can actually start to soften them, maybe even dissipate the discomfort.
Just by noticing.
Just by noticing with acceptance. This practice of staying connected to your body, it grounds your attention. It stops your mind from just spinning out of control.
Right.
And it allows you to respond in a more conscious, relaxed way. So, for instance, instead of automatically reaching for, I don't know, that box of cookies when you feel down.
Guilty as charged sometimes.
We all are. But maybe you consciously choose something else. A walk outside, maybe 5 minutes of quiet meditation. It empowers you to choose your response instead of just reacting.
That's a huge shift, yeah, from reactive thoughts to conscious responses. Actually, brings to mind that classic children's book, Where the Wild Things Are.
Oh, I love that book.
Me too.
Yeah.
Max, the hero, he sails across this rough sea, and he goes toward the scary, threatening wild things.
Yeah.
How does that connect to this idea of self-acceptance?
Well, Max's journey is just this beautiful metaphor for confronting our inner fears, isn't it?
Yeah.
In facing his wild things, Max actually found his own strength, his courage, his perseverance. He discovered his inner authority. He had this presence, stood tall, and told them, "Be still."
I remember that.
Right. So it raises a really important question for you, the listener. What are your wild things? What are those hidden fears or imperfections you tend to avoid? The profound lesson here is that by grounding yourself in your body, cultivating that inner presence like Max did, you can show up with the confidence to actually make peace with those fears, to embrace what's hidden or difficult within your own story.
Okay, building on that idea of facing our inner world.
Yeah.
Let's shift focus a bit to the mind itself and how our thoughts can sometimes feel like, I don't know, a film of dirt on a windshield.
That's a great analogy.
We all kind of move through the day with this constant internal commentary, don't we? Judging whether we like something or not, deciding if we're good or bad, success or failure. Those words like should and must, they're often big clues.
And what's really fascinating is how this constant judgment fuels so many negative emotions. Anger, frustration, disappointment, you name it.
Yeah.
It creates these untrue storylines in our heads, like, oh, I'm such an idiot, I'll never get this right. And the paradox is, even positive judgments can be tricky, because when our high expectations aren't met, disappointment is pretty much guaranteed.
Right. It sets you up.
It's like this constant grading system that stops us from just being.
So the removing that layer of judgment is like finally washing the windshield. Suddenly, the world looks clearer. And this is the practice of non-judging.
Exactly. Bringing an attitude of neutral observation to whatever you encounter.
Wow.
It's not about somehow magically stopping judgmental thoughts. Good luck with that.
Yeah, impossible.
Right. It's more about simply noticing them without getting swept away or acting on them.
Yeah.
Just a gentle acknowledgement. Oh, okay. There's a judgmental thought. And letting it pass.
This implies a pretty huge shift then.
Yeah.
Like maybe there isn't really such a thing as absolute success or failure, or even right or wrong in that rigid sense.
That's the implication. Mistakes just happen. They're part of learning. Your worth isn't measured by the outcome. What really matters is the journey itself, how you navigate your experience.
Okay.
When you start to see life's difficulties as challenges rather than like personal failures or obstacles, they actually become opportunities for growth.
Like Byron Katie says, everything happens for you, not to you.
Exactly. Think about the sheer mental energy you free up when you stop constantly grading every single experience.
That freedom sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And speaking of freeing up mental energy, there's this idea of beginner's mind. We often feel this pressure to know everything, which fills our minds with what you call defensive clutter. All our assumptions, conclusions, beliefs from the past. It's like that famous Zen story about the teacup.
Yes. The Zen master and the professor. The professor's just full of his own ideas, talking and talking.
Right.
While the master keeps pouring tea into his cup until it's overflowing. And the master says, look, I can't show you Zen unless you first empty your cup.
Empty your cup.
When we allow ourselves to not know, to be open, the world genuinely opens up in response. You could challenge yourself, maybe notice your everyday assumptions like automatically judging a slow driver or predicting exactly how a difficult conversation will go before it even happens.
That's a great little practice. This idea of allowing for not knowing, it also connects really deeply to the difference between being versus doing, especially around striving.
Oh, definitely.
Our search for external validation often feels like this nonstop drive to push, compete, aim for some future result. But that road to more, it just seems to lead to feeling even more inadequate, doesn't it? Because there's never actually enough.
It's such a powerful point, and you see it reflected in one of the most common regrets people have at the end of their lives. Bronnie Ware, the palliative nurse, observed this.
Right. What were they?
I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. And I wish I didn't work so hard.
Wow. That really hits home.
It highlights the importance of non-striving. Which doesn't mean being lazy or passive. It means not trying to get somewhere else other than right here in the present moment.
Process over goal.
Exactly. It's process-oriented. Like Lao Tzu paradoxically said, the way to do is to be. True self-esteem is found in being true to yourself right now, not in constantly chasing some future version.
That's beautifully put. And the real-world examples make it so vivid. That story of Evan Weaslake surviving the avalanche.
Oh, incredible story.
Buried under all that snow, his first instinct was to fight against it, thrash around.
Which only made things worse, used up precious air.
Right. But then what happened?
Well, as an endurance cyclist, he was really tuned into identifying wasted energy. He quickly realized, this isn't working, I need to let go. He consciously relaxed his body, slowed his breath, conserved energy.
And that shift.
That shift from fighting to letting go to just being in that terrifying situation is what kept him alive until help arrived. It's such a stark demonstration that sometimes doing less is actually the most effective path forward. That's such a vital, if counterintuitive, lesson. And it ties right into letting go of attachment, doesn't it? Our craving, our clinging especially to thoughts about ourselves, like thoughts of unworthiness, that's often the root of so much suffering. We get stuck on these ideas believing, I am this thought.
But if you apply just a little bit of mindfulness, you can start to get some distance. You begin to see that maybe your anxiety, or whatever the feeling is, has less to do with the thought itself and more to do with how tightly you're holding on to it.
How you're relating to it.
Exactly. And this brings us to letting be, which means accepting things as they are in this moment without desperately grasping onto them or forcefully pushing them away. And the paradox is, when you stop trying to force change, change often happens naturally on its own. You start to see thoughts for what they are, just mental formations, like feathers floating by or bubbles or clouds. They appear, they hang around for a bit, and then they disappear. This helps us not identify with them so much, to see them more skillfully.
Is there a practice for that? Yeah, one really useful tool is the RAIN practice. It's an acronym. Recognize what's happening, allow the experience to be there, investigate it with kindness and curiosity, and a non-identification, realizing you are not your thoughts or feelings.
RAIN. Okay, that sounds helpful.
Ah.
And all of this leads directly towards no blame and self-acceptance, right? Embracing all of yourself, including the parts you see as limitations or flaws.
And here's the beautiful paradox we keep bumping up against. It's only when you fully accept yourself as you are, with all the perceived inadequacies and imperfections, that you become truly free to change and grow.
Wow.
Like that great insight someone shared on Reddit, flaws are proof of humanity, however, they don't define you. They're just part of your unfolding story, not some permanent barrier to your worth.
That's really freeing.
And this whole journey really culminates in trust as self-reliance, recognizing your original goodness or your Buddha nature, that inherent core that's always existed within you.
It's not about religion necessarily.
No, not at all. It's about recognizing an inherent wisdom, a fundamental purity, maybe an original goodness inside you that isn't actually tarnished by your mistakes or flaws. It's like this deep wellspring of potential and peace that's always there waiting to be accessed no matter what life throws at you.
So trusting your own inner wisdom, your direct experience, rather than always looking outside for answers or validation.
Precisely. It's like Lao Tzu said again, when I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. It's about shedding those limiting stories to finally free your authentic self and, write your own beautiful, imperfect story.
Okay, let's move into emotions now, and opening our hearts to compassion. We tend to label emotions, don't we? Good ones, bad ones.
Yeah.
And you're saying they're not intrinsically like that.
Not intrinsically, no. They often become destructive only when we resist them, when we judge them, try to control them, push them down or away.
Right.
Buddhist psychology often talks about them as wholesome or unwholesome states, depending more on the intention behind them and their outcome. The aim isn't to get rid of difficult emotions, but to learn how to work with them using focused attention.
How do we do that?
It requires openness. Cultivating a sense of spaciousness in the heart, creating room to hold, feel, and eventually release whatever emotions arise without getting overwhelmed.
Spaciousness.
Yeah.
Okay. Instead of that tight, constricted feeling we get when we're upset, it reminds me of that analogy about salt and water.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. A tablespoon of salt dumped in a small cup of water tastes incredibly salty, right? Almost unbearable.
Definitely.
But take that same tablespoon of salt and dissolve it in a gallon of water, or even better, a whole pond.
To barely taste it.
Exactly. It gets diluted, dissolves. Like salt in a pond, painful emotions tend to dissolve when held in a spacious mind and an open heart. It's about learning to meet those difficult feelings head on with your heart open, recognizing them as Mara.
Mara, like the deep.
Well, think of Mara less as some external devil and more as the internal voice of doubt, distraction, fear, self-sabotage, that allegorical force of illusion that tries to pull you away from your own wisdom, your own path.
Ah, okay, that internal saboteur. That makes sense. That's a powerful way to reframe those difficult feelings. And thankfully, we have something to balance out that fight, flight, or freeze, right? This tend and befriend response.
Yes, absolutely. This is our instinctive biological nature to protect, nurture, and connect, largely driven by oxytocin, the love and bonding hormone. It means our brains are literally wired to care.
So we have this innate capacity for care.
We do. And things like self-criticism, self-isolation, and just getting totally absorbed in our own problems, what some folks call the unholy trinity, because they really work against our well-being and connection.
Right, they isolate us.
Exactly. Those can actually be softened and released when held in the embrace of self-compassion.
That's powerful, self-compassion, meaning basically caring for yourself like you'd care for a good friend who's struggling.
That's a great way to put it. Being gentle with yourself, acknowledging that suffering is part of being human, everyone struggles, and holding your experiences in a kind of balanced awareness, not getting totally swept away.
And there are practical things we can do to encourage this.
For sure. Simple things, like literally giving yourself a hug, petting an animal, getting a massage if that's available, or even just making yourself smile. These actions actually help train your brain towards positivity and self-kindness.
It's like building a muscle.
It really is. And this cultivation of positivity leads naturally into well-wishing, or what's known as loving kindness, or metta. Yeah. We naturally have this negativity bias, right? We can have 20 good things happen and one bad thing, and what do we focus on?
A bad thing, usually.
Always. So loving kindness is the intentional practice of cultivating well-wishing for yourself and for others. It often involves repeating simple phrases like, may I be safe, may I be healthy, may I be happy, may I live with ease of well-being.
I find that practice really grounding, just repeating those phrases. It feels like you're internalizing the positivity, breaking down barriers, starting with yourself maybe, or someone you care about if self-criticism is really strong.
Exactly. And as we cultivate that inner warmth, what happens when we shift from feeling like we don't have enough to feeling a sense of abundance? That brings us to the power of giving, or generosity, Dana.
Okay.
Feeling deprived, feeling scarcity, often leads to clinging tightly to what we have. But paradoxically, to move toward a feeling of abundance, you often need to let go.
Give something away.
Generosity, Dana, is about giving without needing anything back in return. And this act, this intention, leads to a sense of freedom from suffering, more spaciousness, and often real joy. It connects really deeply to that idea of inner being, the recognition that we're all interconnected, fundamentally dependent on each other. When you shift from seeing yourself as just an isolated individual to seeing our mutuality, it changes everything about how you relate to yourself and to others.
That makes perfect sense. Generosity fostering connection. Which brings us, I think, to our final section. How we actually bring all this into the world, living a virtuous life. So this means bringing that acceptance and compassion into our actual actions.
Yes. Committing to your deepest values and trying as best you can not to cause harm through your thoughts, your attitudes, your speech, or your actions. Right. Action, in this sense, isn't about being perfectly correct all the time. It's about responding wisely from a place of clarity and a maybe fearless heart.
Okay. And where does that start?
Well, it starts with some inner preparation, which includes understanding and accepting your own emotional baggage.
The baggage. We all have some.
We certainly do. It can be those disowned parts of ourselves, unresolved issues from the past, limiting judgments we carry around. Like maybe you're really sensitive to criticism because you had a critical parent.
Okay.
So you carry this unresolved issue, this baggage, and maybe you react with irritation or blame whenever someone corrects you just because it triggers that old feeling of inadequacy.
It's like collecting little rocks in a bag every time something unresolved pops up.
That's a perfect image. And the goal is to recognize, oh, that's just baggage. It's heavy and I don't actually need to carry it. And then choose to take the rock out to deal with it.
Okay. And that self-awareness then helps us in practicing non-harming or right action.
Exactly. Non-harming means consciously acting in ways that don't cause harm to yourself or to others. This often involves reflecting on principles like the 5 precepts from Buddhism, things like refraining from harming life, stealing, sexual misconduct, harmful speech, and intoxicants that cloud the mind.
Basic ethical guidelines.
Right. But the key question to ask yourself regularly in any situation is simply, is what I'm about to do or say likely to cause suffering, or is it likely to cause non-suffering? Letting that question guide your actions based on your values and that inner wisdom we talked about.
So it's not just about big dramatic things, but the everyday choices, the words we use, the way we react.
Precisely. And ultimately, life itself is the practice. This whole journey is about taking responsibility for your actions, letting go of the unnecessary baggage, choosing skillful responses more often than not, and honoring that inherent goodness, that Buddha nature within.
And it's not just a solo journey.
Not at all. Because of our inherent commonality, our interdependence, understanding this truth changes how you relate to everyone. Like Jack Kornfield puts it so beautifully, he says, to awaken to this mysterious grandeur that we in life are a part of allows us to step out of our limited identity and have it connected with something that is greater. And then the two inform one another. It's not that you lose yourself, but in some way, you are free more to be your unique, beautiful self because you are not so frightened anymore. You feel that you are a part of the whole.
Wow. That's a truly beautiful way to frame it. This whole deep dive, it's really shown the transformative power of this mindful approach, hasn't it? How it can move us from fear and insecurity towards, well, expansion and wholeness.
Yeah, from resisting change to actually embracing life's dynamic flow.
You start to know yourself not just as this fluctuating wave, sometimes big, sometimes small, totally tossed around by the wind, but as the vast, limitless ocean itself. The ocean that contains all the ways.
Exactly. It's recognizing that wholeness, that sense of being complete just as you are right now, rather than constantly striving for some fixed, perfect version of yourself that doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
There's no sense of scarcity when you're tapped into that abundance. When you see yourself as part of this greater whole, you are, and you always have been, enough.
So maybe something to consider as we wrap up. If your perceived flaws are simply proof of your humanity, not your definition, then what unwritten chapters of your own beautiful story are just waiting to unfold when you finally let go of that exhausting need to be perfect?
That's the big question.
What small act of self-acceptance or maybe self-compassion can you take today, right now, to start embracing the magnificent, imperfect story that is uniquely yours?
This journey, it really is the journey of a lifetime. It's like setting sail on a curious ship, heading into the mystery with maybe nothing much on board except confidence of mind, courage of heart, and a real commitment of purpose.
Beautifully said. We really invite you to continue this journey of discovery and self-acceptance. Until next time, keep exploring the depths of what it means to be truly imperfectly human.